Hi, it's Rob here with another video, and I want to do a contest entry for a good friend of mine in the vinyl community, Martin Parrott. So Martin's known as the vinyl scavenger, and Martin does sampling. He's already produced a CD that I've actually got, and he's celebrating the fact that he's done another one. So he's holding a contest. So when I fractured my pelvis, I spent a lot of time watching videos on YouTube, and I think I went through all Martin's videos. He's been making videos for quite a few years, but I've always enjoyed Martin's content, and I've met him a couple of times. I met him in Bristol, and I met him at another VC meetup that I can't quite remember where that was. Was it Reading? But yeah, really good company, really nice guy. So I had to jump in on Martin's contest. It's got 4 questions, so I'm going to mix the order up a little bit. So Martin's known as the vinyl scavenger, and Martin loves picking up albums for £1, a couple of quid. So what I thought I'd do is I'd show 10 albums that I've actually picked up for no more than a couple of quid. I don't think I've shown, certainly not shown most of these on my channel before, so it's a bit of interest for people. So I picked this one up actually on Saturday, this compilation. It's called 20 of Another Kind. So I think this was released around 1980, and it contains The Jam, Sham 69, Shibboy Army, The Cure, The Lurkers, The Chords. I can remember this, Purple Hearts. I can remember this here in HMV when I was like 16. I think it was pretty reasonably priced then. And it's an album I've always kind of been on the lookout for. So I saw it for a couple of quid at the car boot sale. So I picked it up last weekend. Another comp that I picked, I must have picked this up last year. Never shown it on my channel. Personality Crisis. So again, this has got about 14 tracks on it. All the big hitters like Generation X with King Rocker, The Stranglers, Peaches, the New York Dolls are on here, Bad Girl. A couple of tracks by them, Dr. Feelgood, Sham 69. So it's on Action Replay Records. So again, this was only a couple of quid at car boot sales. You can always pick up decent comps for a good price. Now, I have been sort of dipping my toe into jazz since I've started making videos on YouTube. There's a lot of people in the vinyl community who are really into jazz. And before I started making videos, I don't even think I had any jazz records on vinyl. But I'm always sort of on the lookout. But finding jazz records cheap, there's an art to that. Certainly in the UK, you don't tend to see albums by John Coltrane for £2. So this has got water damage, a lot of water damage on the back as well. And when I played it, you know, I kind of wish the record had water damage. So the label's Jazz Masterworks, must be some sort of a budget label. But I wasn't really sure whether I liked John Coltrane, and yeah, the jury's still out. And I found this one for a couple of pounds as well. So this one's called I Wish I Knew. So there's 4 tracks on here. This is again some sort of budget release, maybe on impulse. I've not got into the history of the record, but I did find myself struggling a little bit with John Coltrane. Maybe I just need to maybe persevere. This was a nice pickup for a couple of quid. The Band, The Best of the Band. So I spoke before that I'm kind of getting into the band. So I saw this for a couple of pounds. I do have quite a few studio albums by the band on Capitol, but to pick up a best of for a couple of pounds was a really nice find. And also, I don't actually have any records by Cant Heat, but I do now. This live album, live at Tropicana Coral. It's got 6 tracks on it. So this was only a couple of £2, and you don't tend to see Cant Heat records for a couple of £. And they're another sort of one of those American bands that over the last few years I've been giving a bit of time to. I was pretty surprised to find this for a couple of £. Millie Jackson and Caught Up. John, the 6-inch pianist, I know he really likes this album. This is my first Millie Jackson record on Spring Recordings. That's a new one for me. But yeah, quite enjoyed this album. Millie Jackson and Caught Up. I was at a boot sale in Ashton a couple of weeks ago, and this is an album that I never got round to playing. Obscure Alternatives by Japan. So there's a woman with a box of records, so you know, I just went over there looking disinterested. She told me they were all £2. So this album's from 1978, and David Sylvian's sort of disowned this album. You can hear little bits of what would become Japan on this album, but there's sort of Roxy music influence, even a little bit of reggae on here. But this is a really good album. Really enjoyed it, from 1978. Another artist who I've been getting into the last couple of years is Robert Palmer. This album, Pressure Drop. You can usually pick his albums up relatively cheap. So this was no different. A few self-composed tracks. Give Me an Inch, opening track, really like that one. Back in My Arms, another good track. So the Robert Palmer albums that I've got from the sort of 70s, I rate them all. So Pressure Drop, another good find from the car boot sale. And finally, I have shown this, picked it up a couple of years ago, Al Green and Call Me. So subsequently, I've heard a lot of rave things about this pressing and how this is probably Al Green's best album, and I certainly enjoyed it for £2. A really nice find. Right, Martin has got a couple of questions, and one of them was show a record that's been sampled from another record. So I'm going to show this 12-inch single by Roger Sanchez, Another Chance. So this was released in 2001. So I've spoke before, I did in the late 90s and in the 2000s, I did DJ weddings and birthdays and parties, etc. But I only played vinyl. So I needed to pick up sort of current releases. And in the early 2000s, it wasn't easy to get sort of new releases on 12-inch. You used to pay quite a bit of money. But this is one that I always really liked. But I wasn't aware that it was actually sampled from this album, Toto and Toto 4. So the track is, what's it called? I Won't Hold You Back. So it was only pretty recently that I was doing a ranking and listening to Africa by Toto. I just thought, oh, I'll listen to that album. I've always seen it cheap. I've actually picked this up quite recently because I quite enjoyed the album. And then when I played the track, I Won't Hold You Back, I'm thinking, hang on a minute, it's sampled. So Roger Sanchez sampled I Won't Hold You Back by Toto. Probably everybody knows that, but I didn't actually know that. So, you know, it shows what I know. Martin also wanted us to talk about a record that you'd like to be sampled. Now I really struggle with this because, you know, I'm not someone who... There's a real art to sampling music. Listening to a piece of music and thinking, oh, I can take a snippet of that and do something with it. I've got a lot of respect for artists who do that. And there's thousands of records that have been sort of stolen that way, if you like. And all I could think of was the track by The Police, King of Pain. Now, I've been checking and people have sampled that track, but it's the opening line, there's a little black spot on the sun today. I just think maybe you could really work around just that line. Like I say, I think probably someone's actually done that in the past, but this is a question that I really sort of struggled with, so that's the best I can come up with. So yeah, King of Pain. I won't mind someone sort of sampling that. And finally, for some reason, Martin wanted us to show some albums with black and white covers. So I've got a bit of fun here with one of these albums in particular that I can't stand. But yeah, the Chords, sort of mod band from 1980-81. They only did one album, and it's called So Far Away. But this is a really good album. It's got a cover version of She Said, the Beatles song. But yeah, good solid album by the Chords. Closer, very famous album there. Joy Division, black and white, I suppose, bit of grey, but that's what you're having. The Selector, Too Much Pressure from 81, great album. Got a lot of time for the Selector. From Coventry. And another band that I picked this up really cheap quite a few years ago, probably about 15 years ago. Stiff Little Fingers and Nobody's Heroes. Got to Get Away, At the Edge, Nobody's Heroes, Tin Soldiers, really good album. One of my favourite sort of punk bands, Stiff Little Fingers. And finally this album that I picked up for £1 and absolutely hated it. So it's Leonard Cohen. So I saw this in a box of records. Don't usually see Leonard Cohen records for £1. This was £1. And you know, the jacket's a little bit worn. It's on CBS. It's in pretty good condition. You know, it's called Songs of Love and Hate, and I certainly hated it. I know a lot of people love this album. I can remember playing it, and I was actually I could not wait for it to end. I thought I'll play it all the way through, you know, give it a chance. But yeah, absolutely no time whatsoever for Leonard Cohen. So this has been a contest entry for Martin Parrott, Vinyl Scavenger. If you don't know his channel, really go and check him out. He's such a personable, friendly guy. And I can't wait to go on another VC meetup and spend some more time with Martin. So if you've got any comments about what I showed, I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.